Saturday afternoon sunshine poured through the trees at Riverside Park. The smell of charcoal and grilled chicken filled the warm air. Children's laughter echoed across the playground as families spread blankets on the grass for community picnic day. Marcus Thompson flipped burgers on a portable grill, his spatula moving with practiced rhythm. His wife, Angela, arranged potato salad and coleslaw on a folding table covered with a bright red checkered cloth. Their kids, 7-year-old Jasmine and 10-year-old DeAndre, played tag with neighborhood friends near the swing sets. This was their third year hosting the annual community barbecue at Riverside Park. 20 families had gathered for food, music, and celebration. The permit hung prominently on their table, clearly visible to anyone who cared to look. Permit number RP 2847, valid for Saturday, June 15th, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., Section C Pavilion area. Marcus had filed the paperwork 6 weeks ago, paid the $75 fee, followed every single rule in the Park Service's handbook. He'd learned long ago that when you looked like him, you didn't skip steps or cut corners. You did everything exactly right because someone would always be watching, waiting for you to make a mistake. Angela was setting out paper plates when she noticed the woman. White, probably late 50s, wearing expensive yoga clothes and designer sunglasses that cost more than Angela's monthly grocery budget. The woman stood about 30 feet away, arms crossed, phone in hand, staring at their gathering with obvious disapproval etched across her face. "Marcus," Angela said quietly, nodding toward the woman. "We've got company." Marcus glanced over and sighed. He'd seen that look before, that particular expression that said you don't belong here without speaking a single word. The woman marched toward their table with determined purpose, her phone clutched like a weapon. Her name was Catherine Whitmore, though they didn't know that yet. She lived in the expensive condominiums overlooking the park and considered herself the unofficial guardian of neighborhood standards and property values. "Excuse me," Catherine announced loudly enough to draw attention from nearby families. "You can't have this here. This is a public park with rules and regulations." Angela smiled politely, the smile she'd perfected over years of dealing with situations like this. "Good afternoon. We have a permit for this gathering. It's right here if you'd like to see it." She gestured to the laminated permit displayed prominently on their table. Catherine didn't even glance at it. "I don't care about any supposed permit. You're creating a disturbance with excessive noise, you're taking up too much space, and you're using unauthorized grilling equipment in a prohibited area." None of that was true. The park rules explicitly allowed portable grills in Section C. Their music was playing at reasonable volume. Their permitted area accommodated exactly 20 families, which was well within the approved limit. "Ma'am," Marcus said calmly, stepping forward with the spatula still in his hand. "We followed all the proper procedures. We have documentation for everything. We're just having a community barbecue like dozens of other families do here every weekend." Catherine's face flushed red. "Don't you dare tell me what happens in this park. I've lived here for 23 years. I know the rules better than some people who just show up and think they can do whatever they want." The coded language wasn't subtle. Some people, the emphasis dripped with meaning. Other families at the barbecue had stopped their conversations and were watching the confrontation unfold. DeAndre and Jasmine had stopped playing and stood near their parents, sensing tension in the air. "We're not looking for any trouble," Angela said, maintaining her calm tone despite the anger building in her chest. "We're just celebrating with our neighbors and friends. Everyone here is welcome to join us if they'd like some food." Catherine stepped back as if Angela had offered her poison instead of potato salad. "I'm calling the police right now. This illegal gathering is going to be shut down immediately." She pulled out her phone and began dialing before anyone could respond. Marcus exchanged a look with Angela. They both knew what was coming. They'd seen the videos, read the news stories, heard the warnings from other black families about situations exactly like this. "Yes, I need to report an illegal gathering at Riverside Park," Catherine said into her phone, her voice taking on a performative urgency. "There's a large group of people having an unauthorized barbecue. They're being aggressive and threatening when I tried to explain the park rules. I feel very unsafe. Please send officers immediately." Marcus's jaw tightened. Aggressive. Threatening. Those specific words that turned a simple barbecue into something dangerous in the minds of responding officers. "Ma'am, that's not true," Marcus said firmly. "We haven't threatened anyone. We have a valid permit. You're making false statements to emergency services." Catherine ignored him completely, continuing her performance for the 911 operator. "Yes, I'll stay on the line. Please hurry. There are children present and I'm genuinely concerned for everyone's safety." Angela pulled out her own phone and started recording. If this was going to escalate, she wanted documentation of exactly what happened and exactly what was said. Other families at the barbecue began gathering around Marcus and Angela in a show of solidarity. James Rodriguez, their neighbor from 3 houses down, stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm a witness here. These folks have done everything by the book. You're the one causing a disturbance." Catherine turned her attention to James. "Oh, so you're part of this illegal operation too. The police can deal with all of you." Within 8 minutes, 2 police cruisers pulled into the parking lot near the pavilion. Officers Bradley Chun and Sarah Martinez approached the gathering, their expressions professionally neutral but alert. "We received a call about an unauthorized gathering and threatening behavior," Officer Chun said, his eyes scanning the crowd of families, children holding hot dogs, elderly folks sitting in lawn chairs, coolers full of drinks. Marcus stepped forward slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Officer, I'm Marcus Thompson. This is my wife Angela. We organized this community barbecue. We have a valid permit issued by the Parks Department." He handed over the laminated permit. Officer Chun examined it carefully, checking the date, time, location, and permit number against information on his phone. "This permit appears valid," Chun said after a moment. "Who called this in?" Catherine pushed forward. "I did. They're violating multiple park regulations. Excessive noise, unauthorized equipment, taking up too much space, and they were extremely aggressive and threatening when I tried to explain the rules." "Ma'am," Officer Martinez said, looking around at the peaceful gathering, "I don't see any violations here. The permit covers everything they're doing." "They're disturbing the peace," Catherine insisted. "Listen to that music. It's creating a public nuisance." The music was playing at maybe 60 decibels, quieter than normal conversation. Officer Martinez pulled out a decibel meter from her equipment belt and took a reading. 58 decibels. Well within acceptable limits for park gatherings. "Ma'am, there's no violation here," Chun said firmly. "These folks have proper permits and they're not breaking any laws." Catherine's face went from red to purple. "This is ridiculous. I pay taxes in this community. I have rights. You need to shut down this illegal gathering immediately." "It's not illegal," Martinez replied with growing frustration. "They have documentation and they're following all regulations." "Then I want to speak to your supervisor. I want to speak to the mayor. I want someone with actual authority to handle this situation properly." What Catherine didn't know was that Mayor Elizabeth Chen, yes, Officer Chen's mother, had been driving past the park on her way to a community meeting when she saw the police cruisers. She'd pulled over to check if there was an emergency situation requiring mayoral attention. Mayor Chan approached the gathering, her official city identification badge visible on her blazer. She was 62 years old, had served 3 terms as mayor, and had exactly 0 patience for discrimination disguised as concern about regulations. "What's the situation here, officers?" Mayor Chun asked, her voice carrying natural authority. Officer Chun, trying not to smile at his mother's impeccable timing, explained. "Ma'am, we responded to a call about an unauthorized gathering. The Thompson family has a valid permit for this barbecue. No violations are occurring. This resident insisted we shut down the event anyway." Mayor Chun turned to Catherine. "And you are?" "Catherine Whitmore. I live in the Riverside condominiums. I called the police because this group is clearly violating park regulations and creating a dangerous situation." The mayor looked around at children eating watermelon, families playing cornhole, elderly residents chatting in lawn chairs. "Dangerous situation. I see. Can you specify what danger you're observing?" "They're being loud and aggressive. They're taking up too much space. They're using equipment that shouldn't be allowed here. Mayor Chun walked over to the permit display and examined it thoroughly. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. David, this is Elizabeth. I need you to pull permit RP 2847 from the system and confirm all details. Yes, I'll wait. She put the call on speaker. David Nakamura, the Parks Department director, came through clearly. Permit RP 2847 issued to Marcus and Angela Thompson for community gathering, June 15th, Section C Pavilion area. 20 families, portable grills permitted, music allowed within decibel limits. All fees paid. All regulations followed. Everything is completely in order. Thank you, David. Mayor Chun ended the call and turned to Catherine. Ms. Whitmore, this gathering is completely legal and properly permitted. The Thompson family followed every single regulation. But Catherine wasn't finished. Mayor, I've lived in this community for over 2 decades. I've never seen gatherings like this in our park before. This isn't the kind of activity our neighborhood is known for. And there it was. The real reason for the complaint. Not noise. Not permits. Not regulations. The kind of activity. The kind of people. Mayor Chen's expression hardened. Ms. Whitmore, let me be absolutely clear about something. This park belongs to every resident of our city equally. The Thompson family has exactly the same right to hold a permitted gathering here as anyone else. Your personal preferences about what kind of activities should happen here are irrelevant. I have a right to feel safe in my own neighborhood, Catherine protested. You have a right to feel safe, the mayor agreed. But you don't have a right to weaponize police resources against people who are following all laws and regulations simply because you don't like seeing them in your park. The crowd of barbecue attendees had grown quiet, watching this confrontation unfold. Angela was still recording everything on her phone. This is discrimination, Mayor Chun continued, her voice rising with controlled anger. You saw a black family hosting a barbecue and immediately assumed they were breaking rules. You didn't check their permit. You didn't verify any actual violations. You just called the police and made false claims about aggressive behavior. Catherine sputtered. I never said anything about race. This has nothing to do with that. Then explain to me why you didn't check their clearly displayed permit before calling 911. Explain why you described peaceful families as aggressive and threatening. Explain why this particular gathering bothered you when the park hosts dozens of similar events every month. Catherine had no answer that wouldn't expose exactly what everyone already knew. Mayor Chun turned to address the entire gathering, her voice carrying across the pavilion. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize on behalf of the city for this disruption to your afternoon. The Thompson family did everything correctly. You have every right to be here enjoying your community barbecue. She turned back to Catherine. Ms. Whitmore, filing a false police report is a misdemeanor offense. Making false claims about aggressive or threatening behavior is serious. You wasted police resources and you attempted to deprive these families of their legal right to use public space. I want to file a formal complaint, Catherine said desperately. About them, about this situation, about how I've been treated. You're welcome to file any complaint you wish, Mayor Chun replied. But I'm also going to recommend that the city attorney review your 911 call for potential charges of filing a false report and misuse of emergency services. Catherine's face went pale. You can't do that. I was just concerned about my neighborhood. Your neighborhood, the mayor emphasized, includes every family here today. These are your neighbors whether you like it or not. And they have exactly the same rights you do. Officer Martinez stepped forward. Ms. Whitmore, I'm going to need you to provide a formal statement about your 911 call. If you made false claims about aggressive behavior or threats, that's going to be a problem. Catherine looked around at the crowd of witnesses, the recording phones, the mayor standing with arms crossed, and the reality of her situation finally seemed to penetrate. I may have been mistaken about some details, she mumbled. You may have been mistaken, Mayor Chun repeated coldly. You called emergency services, pulled 2 officers away from actual emergencies, disrupted a legal gathering, and made false accusations that could have resulted in serious harm to innocent people. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. The mayor pulled out her own phone and made another call. Jennifer, this is Elizabeth. I need you to draft a statement for immediate release. The city stands firmly against discriminatory use of police resources and false reporting. We will be reviewing all 911 calls related to park gatherings to identify patterns of harassment against minority residents. She paused, listening. Yes, I want it on the city website within the hour. And schedule a community meeting for next week to address discriminatory complaints and equal access to public spaces. Mayor Chun ended the call and addressed the crowd again. Folks, please continue enjoying your barbecue. You've done nothing wrong. The city celebrates community gatherings like this. That's exactly what our parks are for. She walked over to Marcus and Angela directly. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, I apologize that you had to deal with this. Your barbecue looks wonderful. I hope you'll continue holding these community events. Thank you, Mayor, Angela said, her voice thick with emotion. We just wanted to bring neighbors together. And you succeeded beautifully. The mayor glanced at the food table. Is there any chance I could grab a plate? That potato salad looks incredible. Marcus smiled for the first time since the confrontation started. Mayor, you're welcome to join us anytime. While Mayor Chun fixed herself a plate and sat down to chat with families, Catherine Whitmore retreated to her car, her phone clutched in shaking hands. She'd expected the police to remove the barbecue. Instead, she'd been publicly called out by the mayor herself. Officer Chun approached his mother quietly. That was something, Mom. Mayor Chun took a bite of potato salad. Bradley, I've been dealing with people like her for 30 years. They think they own public space because they've always had unquestioned access to it. They can't handle seeing other people enjoying the same rights. She looked around at the barbecue, at the diverse families laughing and eating together, at children playing without concern for adult prejudices. This is what community looks like. This is what we should be protecting. The story spread quickly through the city. Angela's video of the confrontation, including the mayor's response, was shared thousands of times on social media within hours. Local news picked it up, then regional news, then national outlets. Mayor shuts down racist 911 call at community barbecue became a viral headline. The video showing Mayor Chun defending the Thompson family and calling out discriminatory behavior was viewed millions of times. The city council held an emergency session 3 days later. Mayor Chun presented a comprehensive plan for addressing discriminatory use of emergency services. We're implementing mandatory training for 911 operators to identify potentially discriminatory calls. We're creating a rapid response team to handle complaints about permitted activities. We're establishing penalties for false reporting that wastes police resources. And we're launching a public education campaign about equal access to public spaces. The vote was unanimous. Catherine Whitmore was charged with filing a false police report and misuse of emergency services. She eventually pleaded guilty to reduced charges, paid a fine, and was required to complete community service at the very park where she tried to shut down the barbecue. Marcus and Angela Thompson's community barbecue became an annual city-sponsored event. The mayor attended every year. The first year after the incident, over 200 families showed up in solidarity. But the real change happened in smaller ways. Other families who'd been hesitant to use the park started applying for permits. Diverse communities felt more comfortable gathering in public spaces. And when discriminatory 911 calls were made, operators were trained to ask specific questions about actual violations rather than vague feelings of discomfort. 6 months after the incident, Marcus ran into Catherine at the grocery store. She looked away quickly, embarrassed. But Marcus approached her anyway. Ms. Whitmore, he said quietly, I hope you learned something from what happened. Catherine stopped, surprised he was speaking to her. I am sorry for what I did. I was wrong. Marcus nodded. We're having another barbecue next month. You're welcome to come. Bring your family. Meet your actual neighbors instead of just judging them from a distance. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. I don't know if I can face everyone after what I did. That's the thing about community, Marcus said. It's about second chances and growth. We're not asking you to agree with everything we do. We're just asking you to see us as human beings with the same rights you have. Catherine didn't attend the next barbecue. But the one after that, she showed up quietly with a store-bought pie and an apology to everyone she disrupted. It was awkward, but it was a start. Mayor Chun used the incident as a teaching moment throughout her remaining term. She spoke at schools, community centers, and city council meetings about unconscious bias, equal access to public resources, and the danger of weaponizing police against people who make you uncomfortable. The Thompson family barbecue became a symbol of something larger. A reminder that public space belongs to everyone equally, that permits and regulations exist to ensure fairness, not to be selectively enforced based on who's using them. That community means including people who don't look like you or live like you. Angela eventually started a nonprofit organization called Equal Access Initiative, dedicated to helping minority families navigate the permit process for public events and providing legal support when they face discrimination. The organization grew to serve 12 cities within 3 years. Marcus became a community advocate, speaking at city council meetings about park access, fair enforcement of regulations, and the importance of diverse representation in public spaces. Their children, Jasmine and DeAndre, grew up understanding that standing up for your rights wasn't about causing trouble. It was about claiming space that belonged to you all along. The video of Mayor Chen's response is still used in police training programs and city management courses across the country. It's studied as an example of how public officials should respond to discriminatory behavior and how to use authority to protect equal rights rather than enforce prejudice. Catherine Whitmore eventually moved away from the Riverside condominiums. But before she left, she wrote a public letter of apology that was published in the local newspaper. She described her own journey of recognizing her biases and unlearning the assumptions she'd carried for decades. The letter ended with a simple statement: "I was wrong. I'm sorry, and I'm grateful to the Thompson family for showing me that community means everyone, not just people who look and live like me." Real change doesn't happen with one viral video or one mayor's speech. It happens through sustained effort, through challenging biases, through creating systems that protect equal rights, and through communities deciding that everyone deserves access to public space and public resources. The Thompson family barbecue still happens every year at Riverside Park. It's bigger now, more diverse, more celebrated, and every year, Mayor Chun attends and gives a short speech about the importance of community, equality, and the courage it takes to stand up for your rights, even when people tell you that you don't belong. Because the truth is simple: public space is public. Rights are universal, and a community that excludes some of its members isn't really a community at all. If the story moved you, share it. Talk about it. And the next time you see someone being treated unfairly in public space, remember that silence is a choice. Speaking up is also a choice. Choose to be part of the solution,